Long before European ships crossed the Atlantic, North America was already home to hundreds of indigenous nations. Across forests, plains, mountains, deserts, and coastlines, people built communities, traded goods, governed themselves, raised families, practiced traditions, and developed deep relationships with the land. There was no single indigenous culture. The continent was extraordinarily diverse. Nations such as the Cherokee, Haudenosaunee, Navajo, Lakota, and hundreds of other peoples developed their own languages, traditions, political systems, economies, and ways of life. Historical note: the Navajo are more accurately referred to as the Dine, and Lakota is more specific than the broader historical label Sioux. The Haudenosaunee are also commonly known as the Iroquois Confederacy. In the Eastern Woodlands, many communities lived in fertile environments surrounded by forests and waterways. Agriculture supported large populations. Corn, beans, and squash became important crops, while hunting, fishing, gathering, and trade remained essential. Among the Haudenosaunee, several nations formed a powerful political alliance known as the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. Their system emphasized diplomacy, collective decision-making, and relationships between nations. Across the Great Plains, indigenous peoples developed societies adapted to enormous grasslands and seasonal movements. Bison provided food, clothing, tools, and materials for many communities. Hunting required knowledge, cooperation, and careful understanding of the environment. In the Southwest, indigenous peoples developed sophisticated agricultural systems in challenging desert environments. Irrigation, farming, architecture, pottery, weaving, and trade connected communities across the region. Distance did not isolate these societies. Trade networks connected communities across enormous distances. Goods, technologies, ideas, stories, and cultural practices traveled along rivers, trails, and established trade routes. Generations accumulated detailed knowledge of plants, animals, weather, waterways, astronomy, agriculture, and seasonal cycles. This knowledge was passed from one generation to another through teaching, observation, stories, ceremonies, and everyday life. Some indigenous societies grew into large and complex communities. In the Mississippi region, enormous settlements were built around earthen mounds and organized public spaces. These societies demonstrate that North America contained sophisticated centers of political, economic, and cultural life long before European colonization. By the time Europeans began arriving in greater numbers, North America was not an empty wilderness. It was a continent inhabited by diverse peoples with their own histories, territories, alliances, conflicts, economies, and traditions. Beginning in the late 15th century, sustained European contact would bring profound changes. Disease, warfare, displacement, trade, colonization, and new political relationships would transform indigenous societies in ways that would continue for centuries. But the history of indigenous peoples did not begin with European arrival, and it did not end with it. Their nations, cultures, languages, traditions, and descendants remain part of North America today. To understand the history of the continent, we must first recognize the civilizations and communities that were here long before the 1500s.